Woojin, our baby is dying, and you're the only one who can save him. The words cut through 15 months of silence like a knife through ice. Park Woojin sits frozen in his glass-walled office on the 43rd floor. 2 a.m. Gangnam's neon blurs through rain-streaked windows. The logistics reports scattered across his desk suddenly mean nothing. He hasn't heard her voice in 472 days. Nia. His throat closes around her name. She doesn't cry, but he hears exhaustion carved into every syllable. His heart is failing. The doctors need your blood type for surgery. It's rare. He needs you, Woojin. His hand trembles, knocking over the silver frame on his desk. Their wedding photo crashes to the floor, glass splinters across Naya's frozen smile. What baby? The question comes out hollow. Wrong. Our baby, Min Seok. He's 15 months old. Her breath shakes. I left Seoul before I knew I was pregnant. I tried to reach you after he was born, but I blocked your number. The confession tastes like ash. I know. 3 months after she walked out, he'd erased every trace of her. Emails, messages, photos, everything. Now she's calling from Los Angeles with news that shatters his carefully reconstructed world. How sick is he? Without surgery within 72 hours, her voice fractures. The cardiologist says he won't make it to his 2nd birthday. Woojin bends down, picks up the broken frame, glass cuts his thumb. Blood wells up, dark and real, proof that some things can't be controlled with contracts and power. Somewhere across an ocean, a child he's never met fights for every breath. A child with his blood, his eyes, his name waiting to be claimed. I'm catching the next flight, he says. The line goes dead. Woojin stares at his reflection in the dark window. Behind him, Seoul glitters with 1,000 lonely lights. Ahead of him, a choice he can't calculate. Save his empire or save his son. What would you choose? 15 months earlier, their Gangnam penthouse held a different kind of silence. Nia Davis moved through rooms that once felt like home, now cold as a museum. Rain hammered the floor-to-ceiling windows. Red neon from the street below bled across marble floors, reflecting in the mirror above the entrance console. She set her packed suitcase by the door. Woojin sat at the dining table, signing merger documents. His pen moved steadily across paper, as if her leaving was just another transaction to process. Will you at least look at me? Her voice stayed level despite the burning in her chest. He glanced up, cold, distant. This changes nothing, Nia. The merger deadline is tomorrow. And I'm leaving tonight. Doesn't that change anything? His jaw tightened. If you walk out that door, you walk out permanently. No coming back. She studied his face. The man she'd married 2 years ago in a small ceremony his family boycotted. The man who promised her they'd build something real together. You love control more than you love me, she said quietly. I love what we built. You built an empire. I wanted a partnership. She picked up her suitcase. Those aren't the same thing. He stood abruptly. For one heartbeat, she thought he'd stop her, ask her to stay, choose her. Instead, he walked to the bar cart, poured wine, his back to her. Nia removed her wedding ring, set it carefully on the rim of his wine glass. Goodbye, Woojin. She left without slamming the door. Some endings are too heavy for drama. Behind her, Woojin reached for the wine. His hand slipped. The glass tipped. Her ring tumbled down, splashing into red liquid, sank to the bottom like a drowning star. He stared at it, a gold circle distorted by wine and glass. The merger went through the next day. Stock prices soared. The board celebrated, and Woojin told himself he'd made the right choice. For 472 days, he believed it. until a phone call at 2 in the morning proved him catastrophically wrong. Woojin's plane touches down at Incheon 13 hours after her call. His driver navigates Seoul's morning traffic in silence. Woojin stares at his phone, fingers hovering over messages he never sent. I was wrong. Come home. I'm sorry. The words feel impossibly small for what he needs to say. Seoul National Hospital rises like a white fortress against gray sky. He walks through sterile corridors that smell of antiseptic and fear, his bodyguards flanking him. Nurses recognize him from business magazines. Whisper as he passes. Room 447. Through the small window, he sees her. Nia sits beside an incubator, one hand resting on the glass. She's thinner. Dark circles shadow her eyes. Her hair, usually styled, falls in a simple bun. She looks like someone who's been fighting alone for 15 months. A young Korean nurse stands beside her, hand on her shoulder. Nia, see, the results should be ready soon. Try to rest. I can't, Hyejin. What if they can't find a match? Nia looks up. Her eyes meet Woojin's through the glass. Time stops. Then she stands carefully and opens the door. You came. No accusation, no anger, just quiet acknowledgement. Show me, Woojin says. She leads him to the incubator. Inside lies a baby so small he seems impossibly fragile. Brown skin against white hospital blankets. Then the baby's eyes open. Dark, intense, studying Woojin with unsettling focus. The resemblance hits like a fist to the chest. Those are his eyes, his nose, the shape of his chin, miniaturized but unmistakable. This is Min Seok, Nia says softly. It means stone of wisdom. I used your grandmother's name and my father's. Woojin can't speak, can't breathe. The baby's small hand reaches toward him through the incubator opening. He has a ventricular septal defect, Nia explains, slipping into clinical mode. A hole between heart chambers that isn't closing. Without surgical repair, his heart will eventually fail. How long has he been sick? He was born with it, but it's gotten worse in the last 2 months. She wraps her arms around herself. I've been working double shifts at the hospital in LA, saving for the surgery. But American insurance won't cover experimental procedures for pre-existing conditions. Seoul has better outcomes for infant cardiac surgery. So she came back to the city she fled to ask the man who let her go for one thing only, their son's life. I need you to do a blood test, she continues. The surgery requires rare blood type matching for transfusion compatibility, O negative with specific markers. The national database has no matches available. Woojin rolls up his sleeve. Test me now. The efficiency in his voice, learned from years of crisis management, steadies them both. Nurse Hyejin draws his blood professionally. Results come back within an hour. Perfect match. Every marker aligns. When the medical staff leaves, Woojin stands over the incubator. Min Seok watches him, eyes tracking his father's movements. When is the surgery? Dr. Kim can operate in 3 days if we have donor clearance. Nia's voice wavers. Woojin, I'm not asking for money or recognition. I just need you to sign consent for blood donation. After that, you can go back to your life. He finally looks at her. Really looks. What if I don't want to go back? Her eyes fill, but she blinks the tears away. Then you'll need to decide fast. Because Min Seok's running out of time. What would you risk to save someone you never knew you had? If this story is pulling at your heart, let me know in the comments. And subscribe so you never miss these stories of healing and second chances. The mansion on Han River looks exactly as Nia remembers. Cold luxury, wrapped in marble and glass. She stands in the foyer, Min Seok sleeping against her shoulder. Mr. Beck, the Han family lawyer, sits across from her like a judge at sentencing. Temporary residency for medical purposes, he says, sliding papers across the coffee table. After surgery and initial recovery, you return to Los Angeles. Nia reads carefully. Her Korean has improved since she left. Late-night study sessions between feeding her son and working 12-hour nursing shifts. What about parental rights? That's a separate discussion. No, we discuss it now. Woojin stands by the window, overlooking the river, rain streaking down glass. His silence speaks volumes. Mr. Beck's expression remains neutral. Mr. Park will cover all medical expenses. In exchange, we require DNA confirmation and privacy. No media exposure, no public acknowledgement of paternity. You want to save him but erase him. Nia's voice stays level. We want to protect the Park family interests. From a sick baby? From complications that could destabilize the company. Mr. Bayek adjusts his glasses. The DNA test is standard verification. The rest protects everyone involved. Nia stands. This isn't about your empire. It's about my son's heartbeat. Woojin turns from the window. And if acknowledging him destroys everything my family built. She meets his eyes across the expensive distance. Then it was built on the wrong foundation. The words land like stones through glass. Something in Woojin's expression cracks. The terms stand, Mr. Beck insists. Sign or seek treatment elsewhere. She signs what she's comfortable with. Woojin's voice cuts sharp. Nothing more. The lawyer's eyes widen slightly. The board answers to me. Nia picks up the pen, crosses out 3 clauses, writes in her own terms. 60 days, she says. I stay through surgery and recovery. Min Seok appears on all medical documents as Park Min Seok. The DNA test is fine. I've got nothing to hide. After 60 days, we revisit custody based on your actual involvement, not your checkbook. Woojin reads her revisions, each word a challenge and an invitation. He nods. Agreed. They both sign. When Mr. Beck leaves, they stand on opposite sides of the vast room. Through the glass wall separating the living area from the empty nursery, their reflections merge and separate. A family split by more than distance. I won't fail him, Woojin says. Nia gathers Min Seok closer. You get one chance to prove that. She leaves through the side entrance, footsteps echoing in the marble silence. Woojin stares at their reflection in the glass, at the space between them that feels impossible to cross. Woojin arrives alone. No bodyguards tonight, no driver. Just him in a taxi and the weight of tomorrow pressing down on his chest like a physical force. The surgery is in 19 hours. 19 hours until his son's chest is opened. Until a surgeon's hands hold that tiny, failing heart. Until everything becomes life or death in a way that quarterly earnings and stock prices never will be. Room 447's lights are dimmed to almost nothing. Only the glow of monitors, lines tracking heartbeat and oxygen and all the numbers that mean alive versus not alive. Nia sleeps in the recliner, body curled uncomfortably, one hand still resting on the edge of Min Seok's incubator. Like even in sleep, she can't fully let go, can't stop protecting. Her face in the blue light looks younger, softer. He remembers mornings waking up beside her, watching her sleep, thinking that this simple act of existing beside someone who understood him was worth more than any amount of money or power. He'd been right then, just too stupid to realize it until it was too late. Min Seok is awake, doesn't cry, just lies there, eyes open, staring at the ceiling like he's contemplating mysteries adults will never understand. Woojin approaches slowly. The baby's eyes track the movement, focus on this man who keeps appearing at strange hours. "Hey there," Woojin whispers. "It's me again, your Appa." The word feels strange and wonderful in his mouth. Appa, Dad, Father. A role he never prepared for, never thought about, never imagined until 6 days ago. Minseok's face scrunches. His lip trembles. The pre-cry expression Woojin is starting to recognize. Without thinking, just instinct and desperate need to comfort, Woojin starts humming. The melody comes from somewhere deep, buried memory. A song his mother sang when his father's world was too dangerous, when blood and business mixed in ways that gave a child nightmares, when young Woojin needed to believe that someone was watching over him. Dala, Dala, Balgyun, Dala. Moon, oh moon, bright moon, the Korean lullaby about the moon watching over children while parents fight invisible battles, about protection and hope and the promise that morning always comes, even after the longest nights. Minseok's crying pauses. He listens when that intense baby focus, head turning slightly toward the sound, eyes fixed on Woojin's face like he's memorizing it. Woojin keeps singing, voice rough and unsteady. His mother died when he was 12, cancer that came fast and ruthless, like everything in his world. He thought he'd forgotten this song, thought it had died with her. But the body remembers what the mind buries. Jogi, Jogi, Johanel, There, in that sky. His voice cracks on the high note. He's not a good singer, never was. But Minseok doesn't seem to mind. The baby's eyes start to drift closed, small hands unclenching from their tiny fists. Behind Woojin, fabric rustles. He turns. Nia is awake, watching from the recliner. Her expression is unreadable, something between surprise and pain and a tenderness she's trying to hide. "You remember that song?" she says softly. Not a question, an observation, an acknowledgement of something witnessed and fragile. Woojin finishes the last line before answering. Minseok is nearly asleep now, breathing steady and calm. "Some things don't leave, even when people do, even when you think you've forgotten everything that mattered." Nia stands, crosses the small space. They stand on opposite sides of the incubator, Minseok between them, bridge and barrier in equal measure. "He fights everything," she says. "Sleep, bottles, medicine, he's stubborn as hell." Wonder where he gets that from. A ghost of a smile crosses her face. "Both of us, probably. Stubbornness might be the only thing we have in common these days." "I don't think that's true." She looks up. "No. We both love him." "That's something!" The words hang there, simple and devastating. Nia's hand rests on the incubator. Woojin's hand is inches away, not quite touching, not quite separate. "I was so angry at you," she whispers. "For 15 months, I was so angry I couldn't breathe sometimes. Every time Minseok smiled, I thought about how you were missing it. Every time he was sick, I thought about how I was handling it alone. I built entire speeches in my head about what I'd say if I ever saw you again." "What were you going to say?" "That you were a coward, that you chose wrong, that you didn't deserve to know him." She swallows hard. "But then you showed up. Just showed up, without conditions, without excuses, and all that anger just..." She makes a gesture like something escaping. It's still there, but it's not the only thing anymore. Woojin's throat tightens. "What else is there?" "Hope." She says it like a confession, like admitting hope is dangerous. "Which is terrifying, because I don't know if I can survive being disappointed by you again." Her hand moves slightly. Their fingers touch on the incubator glass. Neither pulls away. "Your mother saying that to you?" Nia asks, changing the subject before it gets too heavy. "Every night, until she got too sick to sing, Then she'd just hum it. He stares at their son. My father was always gone. Underground business, dangerous meetings, things I didn't understand until I was older. I used to think he didn't love me. That work was more important than family. And now I wonder if he was afraid. If he kept his distance because love felt like weakness in his world. If he convinced himself that providing was the same as being present. Woojin's voice drops. I think I inherited that fear. That need to keep everything separate. Work and love, power and vulnerability. Like letting them touch would destroy everything. Nia's fingers curl around his on the glass. And what do you think now? I think keeping them separate destroyed everything anyway. Just slower, quieter. They stand in silence, holding hands over their sleeping son. Blue light from monitors washing over them like a baptism. He's going to be okay, Nia says, more prayer than statement. How do you know? Because he's part you. And Woojin, she squeezes his hand. Whatever else you are, you don't quit. You don't surrender. He has that in his DNA. The words crack something open in Woojin's chest. Not breaking, opening, making space for something he's kept locked away since his mother died. The belief that being vulnerable doesn't mean being weak. That loving someone enough to show them your fears is the bravest thing you can do. I'm terrified, he admits. Tomorrow, when they take him into surgery. I don't know how to do this, how to just wait and hope and trust that someone else will save him when I can't. That's what it means to be a parent? Nia's voice is gentle. Being terrified, trusting other people with the most important thing in your world, accepting that you can't control everything. I don't know how to not control things. Then you'll learn, because you don't have a choice. None of us do. Minsok makes a soft sound in his sleep. Both parents instinctively lean closer, watching, waiting to see if he needs something. He settles, sleeps on, unaware that his parents are slowly rebuilding bridges they thought had burned beyond repair. Woojin looks at Nia across the incubator, really looks, sees the exhaustion carved into her face, the determination in her eyes, the way she holds herself together through sheer force of will. I don't deserve a second chance, he says quietly. Probably not. But I'm asking anyway. She studies him for a long moment. Then show me, not with words, with actions, with showing up even when it's hard, with staying even when it's easier to leave. I can do that. We'll see. But she doesn't let go of his hand. They stand there until dawn starts to gray the sky beyond the windows, watching their son breathe, holding onto each other like lifelines. Tomorrow, surgeons will open his chest. Tomorrow, everything could change. But tonight, in this moment, they're a family. Broken, rebuilding, real, and sometimes that's enough to hope on. The surgery is scheduled for 7 p.m. But at 2 in the afternoon, Woojin sits in the Han Group boardroom instead of the hospital. Emergency meeting, called by his uncle, attendance mandatory. He shouldn't be here. Should be with Nia and Min Seok, spending these last hours before surgery together. But the message from Mr. Beck was clear. The board requires your presence. Urgent matter regarding company stability. The boardroom occupies the top floor of Han Tower. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul. The same view as his office, but colder, more exposed. A place where decisions are made with profit margins, not hearts. 12 men sit around the table, his father's advisors, the old guard who built Seoul's underground empire on silence and calculated violence, men who remember when the Han family name meant fear, not just shipping logistics and import-export licenses. They're watching him like wolves assessing weakness. His uncle, vice chairman, Park Tae-jin, sits at the head of the table where Woojin's father once sat. 60 years old, silver hair, expensive suit, cold eyes that have never forgiven Woo Jin for inheriting what Tae-jin believed should be his. Mr. Beck sits to the side, expression unreadable, neutral. The lawyer who serves the family, not any individual member. "Thank you for coming, nephew." Tae-jin's voice drips false courtesy. "We understand you have personal matters this evening. We'll keep this brief." Woo-jin checks his phone. 2:17 p.m., 4 hours and 43 minutes until surgery. "What's this about?" Tae-jin nods to Mr. Black, who activates the screen at the front of the room. Images appear, hospital photos, Woo-jin entering Seoul National, Nia holding a baby, close-ups of Min Seok that someone took through the hospital room window with a telephoto lens. Woo-jin's blood runs cold. "Someone leaked these to the press this morning," Tae-jin says calmly. "Currently trending on social media. Several news outlets have picked it up. The speculation is extensive. Headlines flash on screen. Han Group heirs secret love child. CEO Park Woo-jin linked to American woman and baby Mafia family scandal. Illegitimate son discovered our stock dropped 4% in the first hour," Tae-jin continues. "Currently down 6% and falling. Investor calls are flooding our PR department. The merger partners in Japan are requesting clarification. Our Shanghai contacts are concerned about the family's public image." Woo-jin stares at the photos of his son displayed for boardroom analysis. Min Seok's tiny face scrutinized by men who see him as nothing but a liability. "Who leaked these?" "Doesn't matter." Tae-jin leans back. "The damage is done. Now we control it." Mr. Beck slides papers across the table. "I've prepared a comprehensive strategy. First, a press statement denying paternity. Mr. Park is providing humanitarian medical assistance to a former acquaintance's child, but has no familiar relationship to the parties involved. This allows you to explain your hospital presence while maintaining distance." More papers. Second, a private settlement with Ms. Davis. $5 million US. Full medical coverage, education trust for the child. In exchange, she signs an NDA and leaves Korea within 30 days. Woo-jin reads the documents, bile rising in his throat. They're erasing his son with corporate efficiency. Third, Mr. Beck continues, a DNA test that you publicly refuse to take. This reinforces your position that no paternity exists. The woman cannot legally force testing without your consent. The woman, Woo-jin says quietly, is named Nia. The child is named Min Seok. "He's your great-nephew?" Tae-jin's expression hardens. "He's a complication, a scandal, a liability that threatens everything your father built." "My father built an empire on blood and fear. Maybe it's time to build something better." "Better?" Tae-jin laughs, cold, sharp. "You want to legitimize a bastard child with a foreign woman during the most delicate expansion in our company's history? You want to hand our competitors ammunition? You want to show weakness to every rival family in Seoul?" "I want to acknowledge my son." Silence falls like a hammer. The board members exchange glances, some uncomfortable, some calculating, all judging. "If you do this," Mr. Beck says carefully, "there will be consequences. Your father's will contains a provision. If the CEO is deemed unfit to lead due to personal matters that compromise company stability, the board can vote to remove him." "You'd need 7 votes, Woo-jin counters. "You don't have them." "Don't I?" Tae-jin's smile is dangerous. "How certain are you?" Woo-jin looks around the table, counts allies, counts enemies, comes up short. His phone buzzes. Text from Nia. "Surgery moved up to 6 p.m. Dr. Kim says Min Seok's vitals are declining. We need to do this now. Where are you?" His heart stops. 6 p.m., not 7 p.m., in less than 4 hours. I need to leave. The vote happens now, Taejin says. Sign the papers, deny paternity, protect your position, or we vote tonight and you lose everything your family spent 3 generations building. Woojin stands. My son is having open heart surgery in 4 hours. I need to be there. Then choose, his uncle's voice is steel. The company or the child. You can't have both. The words hang like an executioner's blade. Woojin looks at the papers, at the denial, at the $5 million that could erase his son's existence, looks at his phone, at Nia's message, at the clock counting down to the moment Min-seok's chest will be opened and his tiny heart held in a surgeon's hands. Looks at the men around the table, men who see people as assets and liabilities, who measure worth in won in dollars, not love or commitment or the weight of a baby's hand curling around your finger. His father chose this world, chose power over presence, chose empire over everything else, and died alone in a hospital room with only paid employees by his side, because his son had been in another country closing a deal that ultimately meant nothing. Woojin picks up the papers, stares at the signature line. If I don't sign, we vote to remove you within the hour, Taejin says. You lose the CEO position, lose your board seat, lose access to family funds. You'll keep your trust fund, can't touch that legally, but everything else, gone. Woojin thinks about Min-seok, about Nia sitting alone at the hospital right now, wondering where he is, about promises made and promises broken and the choice his father made every single day. He tears the papers in half. The sound echoes in the silent boardroom. No, Taejin's eyes flash. You're making a mistake. Maybe, but it's my mistake to make. Woojin drops the torn papers on the table. I'm going to the hospital. Vote if you want. Do whatever you think you need to do, but I'm choosing my son. Then you're choosing to lose everything. No. Woojin looks around the table. I'm choosing to keep what matters. There's a difference. He walks to the door. You'll regret this, his uncle calls after him. When you're nobody, when this company moves on without you, when you realize what you threw away. Woojin turns. My father threw away his family for this company, missed my childhood for board meetings, died without ever telling me he loved me because showing emotion was weakness in his world. If I'm choosing to lose this empire the same way he lost everything that mattered, then I've already lost anyway. He leaves. The elevator ride down feels eternal. 43 floors, each one a layer of his old life falling away. His phone rings. Mr. Beck. They're voting now, the lawyer says. I tried to delay, but let them vote. Woojin steps out into the parking garage. I have somewhere more important to be. He hangs up, gets in his car. His hands shake on the steering wheel. In 4 hours, his son goes into surgery. In less than 1 hour, he'll probably lose his company. And somehow, driving through Seoul traffic toward the hospital, Woojin feels freer than he has in years. Min-seok survives the surgery. 5 hours. Not 4. Complications. Unexpected bleeding. A moment when the monitors flatlined and Nia screamed and Woojin held her while doctors fought to restart a heart smaller than his fist. But Dr. Kim is as good as his reputation. Skilled hands and steady nerves. The hole is closed. The heart is beating. The baby is alive. Recovery is slow, painful, but steady. For 3 days, Woojin barely leaves the ICU, sleeps in the chair, eats when Hyejin forces him to, watches his son breathe with the intensity of someone memorizing something holy. On day 4, the board's decision comes through, voted out as CEO, effective immediately. His uncle will serve as interim head until a permanent replacement is chosen. The press has a field day. Han Group heir, ousted in family power struggle. CEO removed after secret child scandal. Park Woo-jin loses empire for love child. Woo-jin reads the headlines once, then focuses on what matters. The tiny person in the ICU who's fighting to heal, who doesn't care about corporate politics or family drama or anything except the comfort of familiar voices singing Korean lullabies. On day 7, Dr. Kim clears Min Seok for transfer to regular pediatric recovery. Still needs monitoring. Still fragile, but stable. On day 9, Nia starts packing. Woo-jin finds her in the recovery room, folding tiny clothes into her worn duffel bag. "What are you doing?" "We can fly in 5 more days. Dr. Kim says Min Seok's strong enough." She doesn't look at him. "I've booked tickets back to LA. It's time to go home." The words hit like a fist to the chest. "This is home." "No, Woo-jin. Seoul is where you grew up, where your family is, where your company was." She zips the bag. "But it's not my home. I came back for the surgery. The surgery is done. Now we leave." "Nia!" "You've been amazing. I mean that. The last 9 days, you've shown up in ways I never expected, but—" She finally looks at him. Her eyes are tired, sad, resolute. "But that's because you were in crisis. Because Min Seok almost died, and that scared you into being present. What happens when we're back to normal? When it's just feeding schedules and diaper changes and the boring parts of parenting? When your next business opportunity comes along? When someone offers you a CEO position somewhere else? I won't leave. You say that now. You promised things before, too." She lifts Man Seok from the crib. The baby is awake, alert. Small bandage still visible under his hospital gown. "I saw the headlines. You lost your company because of us. How long before you resent that? How long before looking at him reminds you of everything you sacrificed?" "That will never happen." "You don't know that?" Her voice cracks. "And I can't survive watching you slowly check out again. I can't watch Min Seok wait for a father who's physically present but emotionally gone. I did that with my own dad. I won't do it to my son." She walks toward the door, Min Seok against her shoulder. Woo-jin stands frozen, watches the distance grow. Then something inside him shatters completely. Not cracks, not bends, shatters. All the careful control, all the strategic thinking, all the armor he's worn since childhood. Gone. He runs after her, catches up in the hallway. "Wait, please." She stops, doesn't turn. "Why? So you can make more promises we both know you won't keep?" "No, so I can show you something." He pulls out his phone, opens his social media. The post has been sitting in drafts for 2 hours. He's rewritten it a dozen times. Now he stops overthinking and just posts. The words appear on his feed. 15 months ago, I chose pride over love. I chose empire over the woman who deserved better. I told myself that business and family were separate, that providing was the same as being present, that building power was more important than building a life. I was wrong. Park Min Seok is my son. Nia Davis is the woman I failed and the woman I'm fighting to keep. He almost died because his father was too proud to admit weakness. He's alive now because his mother was brave enough to come back to a city that hurt her. I've lost my position at Han Group. I'll probably lose more before this is done. And I'd do it again. I'd lose everything again. Because I finally understand what my father never did. An empire built at the cost of family isn't an empire worth having. This isn't an apology. Apologies don't fix anything. This is a commitment. I'm choosing them. Not just today. Every day. For as long as they'll have me. He attaches a photo. The 3 of them in recovery yesterday. Nia sleeping in the chair, exhausted. Min Seok in Woo-jin's arms, tiny hand gripping his finger. Woo-jin looking at his son with an expression that can't be faked. Pure, unguarded love. He hits post. turns his phone screen toward Naya. There, it's public, permanent, no taking it back. She stares at the post, watches in real time as likes and comments flood in, as the Seoul media picks it up, as his phone starts ringing with calls he'll never answer. Her voice fails. You just made it impossible to go back. That's the point. He puts the phone away. I don't want to go back. Forward is the only direction that matters. They're going to destroy you. Tears stream down her face. The old guard, your uncle, everyone who wants you gone. This just gave them ammunition. Let them try. He steps closer. I spent 32 years building an empire. Let me spend the rest of my life building a family. That's a better legacy. Min Seok reaches one hand toward Woojin, makes a sound that might be recognition or might just be coincidence, but feels like everything. Woojin takes his son gently from Nia's arms, holds him like the precious, fragile miracle he is. You're tired, he says softly. You've been fighting alone for so long. Let me fight with you. Let me carry some of this weight. Let me prove that I'm not my father, that I learned from his mistakes instead of repeating them. Naya's face crumbles. All the exhaustion, all the fear, all the lonely months of fighting catch up to her at once. She sobs. Actually sobs. The kind of crying that comes from bones-deep weariness. Woojin wraps his free arm around her, pulling her close, their son between them, a family of 3 standing in a hospital corridor while nurses pretend not to notice. I'm scared, Nia whispers into his chest. I'm so scared of trusting you again. Then don't trust me yet. Just let me show you, every day, until trust isn't scary anymore. They stand there until Nia's tears slow, until Min Seok makes impatient sounds about being squished between parents. We can't go back to LA, Woojin says quietly. Not permanently. Min Seok needs follow-up with Dr. Kim. Regular cardiac monitoring, the medical care here is part of why he's alive. I know. But we also can't stay in Korea if you're miserable, if this place only reminds you of pain. Nia pulls back, wipes her eyes. So what do? We figure it out, together. Maybe you finish your residency here. Maybe we split time between countries. Maybe we build something new that's ours, not mine or yours, but ours. He shifts Min Seok to one arm, takes Nia's hand with the other. But we figure it out as a family. That's the only non-negotiable. Nurse Hyojin appears from around the corner, apologetic. Sorry to interrupt, but there are reporters downstairs. Someone must have recognized Mr. Park's car. Security is handling it, but... We'll go out the back, Woojin says. Actually, Nia's voice is stronger now. Let's go out the front. Woojin looks at her, surprised. She squares her shoulders. You posted that we're a family. Let's act like it. Together. They walk through Seoul National Hospital together. Woojin carrying Min Seok. Nia beside him, Hyejin a few steps behind, professional guard dog. At the main entrance, cameras flash. Reporters shout questions in Korean and English. Mr. Park, is the child yours? Ms. Davis, how does it feel to destroy a business empire? Will you seek compensation from the Han family? Woojin stops on the steps. Nia beside him. He looks at her, silently asking permission. She nods. Park Min Seok is my son, Woojin says clearly, in Korean first, then English. He almost died because I was too proud to acknowledge him. He's alive because his mother is the bravest person I've ever met. That's the only statement I have. Now please let us take our son home. More questions, more cameras. They don't answer. Just walk to the car together. As Woojin's driver navigates away from the hospital, Seoul's evening light filters through the windows. Min Seok falls asleep, exhausted by the excitement. Nia leans against Woojin's shoulder. Where are we going? She asks. Wherever you want. No. Where are we going? As a family, what's the plan? Woojin looks down at his sleeping son, at the woman who fought alone for 15 months, at the family he almost lost to pride and fear. I don't know, he admits. I've spent my whole life with plans, strategies, 5-year projections, and they all led me away from what mattered. So maybe this time we don't have a plan. We just have a direction. Which is forward, together. Nia smiles, small, tentative, but real. That's the worst business strategy I've ever heard. Good thing I'm not a businessman anymore. What are you then? He thinks about it, about identities and roles and all the titles he's carried. CEO, heir, head of the family. None of them feel right anymore. I'm Min Seok's father, he says finally. Everything else is just details. Nia's hand finds his, holds tight. Seoul's lights blur past the windows. Somewhere behind them, his old life crumbles. Somewhere ahead, something new waits to be built. But right now, in this car, they're just 3 people who chose each other when it would have been easier to walk away. And sometimes, that's all you need to start rebuilding a world. The cafe in Itaewon smells like cinnamon and fresh bread and possibility. Soft yellow light filters through windows overlooking the street. 7 in the evening. Seoul's autumn settling into that gentle hour between work and rest. The city's rush hour hum is a distant backdrop to quiet conversations and clinking cups. Nia sets down 2 Americanos and a small carton of banana milk. Woojin sits by the window, Min Seok on his lap. The boy's almost 3 now, healthy, vibrant, brown eyes bright with mischief and curiosity. Appa, dog gay. Min Seok points at a golden retriever outside, pressing his face against the glass. His language is its own creation, Korean and English blended into something that makes perfect sense to him and no one else. Appa daddy, dog gay, more deo. His parents have stopped correcting him. He'll sort it out eventually. Or maybe he won't. Maybe he'll grow up speaking 3 languages at once, navigating multiple worlds with the ease of someone who belongs everywhere and nowhere. Maybe that's its own kind of strength. Naya laughs. That sound still catches Woojin off guard after all this time, still makes his heart skip like hearing a song you thought you'd forgotten. She wears a simple dress, hair in twists she just got done yesterday, medical school textbook visible in her bag. Pediatric cardiology, 3rd year. Seoul National University gave her a full scholarship after her story went public. The inspirational nurse who crossed oceans for her child. The woman who showed that love requires action, not just words. The media had a field day. Motivational speakers quoted her in seminars. Women's magazines wanted interviews. A K-drama producer offered to buy rights to their story. Nia turned everything down, focused instead on studying, on building a future where she can save children like Min Seok, where she can take the worst experience of her life and transform it into expertise that serves others. She starts her residency in 2 months under Dr. Kim himself. Full circle, Dr. Kim had said, when accepting her as his mentee. The mother whose son I saved, now saving other mothers' sons. This is why I became a doctor. The cafe door chimes. Mr. Beck enters carrying a leather folder. He's different now, softer, the hard edges worn down by the year's revelations. Watching Woojin choose love over empire changed something in the old lawyer, made him question loyalties he'd held for 40 years, made him realize that serving the family and serving individual family members were sometimes contradictory. 3 months after Woojin was ousted, Mr. Baek quietly resigned from Han Group, opened his own practice, smaller, independent, free from the weight of underground obligations. Woojin, Nia. He bows respectfully, The deeper bow reserved for people you genuinely respect, not just those you serve. Mr. Bexy, Nia stands, gestures to a chair. Please sit. Can I get you coffee? Green tea if they have it. While Nia orders, Mr. Beck settles across from Woojin. Min Seok has abandoned his father's lap in favor of the window, pressing both palms against glass, narrating the street life to himself in his hybrid language. You look well, Mr. Beck observes, both of you. The family suits you. Better than a boardroom, Woojin agrees. Speaking of which, the lawyer opens his folder. I have news. The board voted yesterday. Your uncle's tenure as interim CEO is ending. Woojin stiffens slightly. Who do they choose? No one. They're dissolving the current structure. The company is splitting. Legitimate business operations will go public under professional management. The underground connections are being systematically severed. Your father's lawyer, Kim Sang-wook, is overseeing the transition. Woojin blinks. That's unprecedented. Yes. Mr. Beck allows himself a small smile. It seems your very public choice sparked something. Younger board members questioned why the company needed underground ties at all. Several large investors threatened to pull out if changes weren't made. The old guard fought, but he shrugs. Times change, sometimes rapidly. And my uncle? Resigned, quietly. He's maintaining some international shipping operations, but the family empire as it existed, it's ending. The words should hurt, should feel like loss, but Woojin feels only relief. Nia returns with tea, sits beside Woojin. Everything okay? Han Group is being restructured. The underground connections are being cut. Her eyes widen. Because of a lot of things. Changing markets, legal pressure, and maybe because one person choosing love over power showed us the empire was built on a foundation that couldn't last forever. Mr. Beck slides papers across the table. Which brings me to my actual purpose today. Park Min-seok's legal documents, fully finalized. He spreads them out with the care of someone handling something precious. Birth certificate, new, legal, official. Park Min-seok, born May 3rd, Los Angeles, California, USA. Parents, Park Woojin and Nia Davis. Status, legitimate son and legal heir. The inheritance is complex, Mr. Beck continues. Your trust fund remains intact. Your father couldn't touch that. You still have controlling interest in several international holdings. But the Han Group CEO position and all associated power? That's gone. I don't want it back, Woojin says quietly. I know, but Min Seok deserves to know what he's inheriting. When he turns 25, he'll have access to approximately $800 million across various trusts and holdings. Not the multi-billion empire your father built, but more than enough, Nia interjects. More than he'll ever need. Agreed. Mr. Ba gathers the papers. I also wanted you to know. I've updated my will. I have no children of my own. When I die, Min Seok will inherit my firm and holdings. Not because he's a Park, because he has good parents who chose right when it was easier to choose wrong. Woojin's throat tightens. Mr. Beck, don't! The old lawyer waves him off. I'm 71. These things should be settled. I've watched 3 generations of Park men choose empire over family. It's time someone broke that cycle. When he leaves, Nia traces her fingers over Min Seok's birth certificate, over their names, officially recognized as parents, as partners, as family. $800 million, she murmurs. That's terrifying. Why? Because I don't want him to grow up like you did, thinking money equals worth, thinking providing equals love. He won't, Woojin pulls her close, because he has you, because he'll see me working for a living, not just managing investments, because he'll understand that the best things in life aren't purchased. Woojin had started small, a consulting firm helping Korean businesses navigate American markets, used his connections and expertise without the weight of family expectation. It's satisfying in ways empire building never was. Some days are harder than others. Some days he misses the power, the certainty of his old life. But then Min Seok climbs into his lap at breakfast, says, "Appa read?" with a book clutched in tiny hands, and Woojin remembers why he walked away. "Mom's coming to visit next month," Nia says, changing the subject. "She wants to meet her grandson finally, and," she hesitates, "she wants to meet you. For real this time." "Will she hate me?" "Probably a little. You hurt her daughter." Nia's smile is wry. "But she's also seen the man you've become, and she believes in second chances." "What about you?" Woojin asks. "Do you believe I've changed?" Nia looks at him, really looks, studies the man beside her who shares a tiny 2-bedroom apartment in Itaewon instead of a mansion, who cooks breakfast most mornings while she studies, who spends Saturdays at the playground and Sundays doing meal prep, who shows up every single day without being asked. "I believe you're becoming the man you always could have been," she says finally. "And I believe I'm becoming someone stronger too. We're growing together. That's better than perfect." Min Seok returns to the table, climbing into Nia's lap with the confidence of a child who knows he's loved. He looks between his parents with those dark park eyes. "Home?" he asks. It's his favorite question, asked a dozen times a day, in the car, at the park, at the market. Like he needs constant reassurance that home still exists. "Yes, baby, we'll go home soon." Nia kisses his forehead. "After dinner?" "Home Jip." He bounces slightly. Home house, his own creation. Woojin watches them, his family. Imperfect, complicated, real. Not the family he planned. Not the life he envisioned when he inherited the Han Empire at 25. Better, so much better. Because this is a family chosen, not inherited. Built on deliberate decisions, not obligation. Held together by showing up, not just biology. "Tell me about your day," Nia says, settling Min Seok on her hip. So Woojin does, tells her about the client meeting, the contract he's negotiating, the small victories that won't make headlines but feel meaningful. And she tells him about her classes, the cadaver lab, the study group, the way medical knowledge is slowly transforming from memorization to understanding. Min Seok listens, understanding maybe 1 word in 5. Happy just to be included. Outside, Seoul's evening deepens toward night. Street lamps flicker on. People walk past. Couples holding hands. Students heading home. Elderly women carrying shopping bags. Businessmen loosening ties after long days. Life, ordinary and beautiful. Inside the cafe, yellow light glows soft and warm. Woojin's hand finds Nia's across the table. She doesn't pull away. Min Seok climbs back into his father's lap. "Appa, sing." So Woojin does. Quietly, so only their small corner can hear. "Dala dala, balg yun dala." Moon, oh moon, bright moon. The same lullaby his mother sang, the same melody that brought him back to himself in a hospital at midnight. The same words that told his son, "You are loved, you are safe, you belong." Now, a bridge between generations, a promise kept, a romance fulfilled, not through perfect choices, but through hard ones made right, through courage to love fully, even when it costs everything. 3 hearts, 1 story, a happy ending earned through showing up, staying present, choosing love, when it would have been easier to choose power. This is not a fairy tale. Those end with weddings and castles and happily ever after, wrapped in ribbons. This is better, this is real, this is a family that almost wasn't, a love that died and was resurrected, a man who lost an empire and found himself, a woman who demanded more than pretty words and got actions that changed everything, a child who needed both parents to choose him, and they did. Seoul's autumn night settles over the city like a blanket. Inside Cafe Gomme, the tiny place in Itaewon that makes the best cinnamon rolls in the neighborhood, a father sings to his son while the woman he loves watches with soft eyes. Tomorrow will bring challenges, medical appointments, school applications, family drama, bills to pay, all the ordinary chaos of life. But tonight, in this moment, they're just three people who chose each other, who keep choosing each other, who understand that love isn't about grand gestures or perfect circumstances. It's about showing up every day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. And sometimes that's the most romantic thing of all. Love isn't about perfect choices or fairy tale endings. It's about choosing each other again and again, even when it costs everything, especially when it costs everything. If the story touched your heart, if it reminded you that second chances are real and healing is possible, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. These stories of hope and redemption need voices like yours to reach others who need to believe that it's never too late to choose love. Thank you for being here. Thank you for believing. Until the next story, remember, the bravest thing you can do is love without armor. And the strongest thing you can build is a family that chooses each other every single day.